Hello, coming back at you with another collaboration video. Go ahead and add it to the CRBX ARDS playlist on both these channels. We are coming back at you, but this time, not like a prediction or a preview video of a sports round, of playoff, whatever. Now, this is like some real shit we're talking here. The both of our teams, the Rays and the A's, are both undergoing these stadium sagas, which seem probably to you just as much as they do me, never ending. And so we thought we'd talk about it. And I must give Casey some credit here because this was pretty much his idea to do this, and I was quick to agree with it because it's a good video idea. We both support these teams. We both are pretty damn educated when it comes to our teams. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk completely about the A's for the first half of this video, and then for the second half of the video, we're gonna switch it to the Rays because we don't want to do this back and forth thing, which can get confusing to you. You know, you might be like, wait, what the hell are they talking about? Are we talking about Tampa or Oakland here? So no, we're just gonna do it into two parts. We're gonna start off with Oakland, and then we're just gonna eventually transition into the Rays.
Yeah,
No script for this at all. We're just going based off of our current knowledge of the situation. So without further ado, my man A'sRaidersDubsSharks here. Take it away. Let's go, Oakland, baby.
yeah. So before I actually get into my long monologue about this, like from an outsider's perspective, someone living all the way across the country from this saga, the Oakland Stadium situation, like what's your knowledge on this? Because obviously you're not an A's fan, but you are a baseball fan, and you obviously know about semi what's going on probably, but like you're not here. So like, what's your
Right.
perspective on this?
Okay.
Just so I can
So
like
an outsider
link.
looking in, yes. Just a fair warning. I'm gonna have probably plenty of questions throughout this segment of the video for
Of
you
course, yeah,
because I'm just as curious. So, what is my outsider looking in perspective? So for me, Oakland seems like an incompetent fucking city who just lost two teams, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. I prior to this city council vote thing, I did not think the A's were staying in Oakland. I thought the city was too incompetent with their leadership, and
there.
they seem like they hate sports over there. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, I hope they get it done because Oakland is it's a good sports city. They've proven that they're a good sports city. Maybe not a good crime city, but they're a good sports city. So, um, I would love to see this stadium get done. I would love to see it in person one day if it gets built. I hope it gets built because with the renderings here, you see it here on the screen. It's beautiful, and I would love to see it.
yeah. Yeah, well, you're pretty much right about a lot of these things. I'd say even go as far as saying you were right about all these things. From an outsider perspective, you definitely kind of hit all the key points. But I like how you mentioned the city council vote thing. It was actually the county voted on it.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Alameda,
That's my knowledge.
yeah, Alameda. Oakland is in Alameda County. That's
Right.
why you hear like Oakland Alameda County Coliseum
Mm-hmm.
because it's in Alameda County. So, anyways, this vote was for the county to be involved in the project. And basically, what that means is there's a possibility they'll pledge money. It basically
Really?
means they're going forward with this project. Yeah,
I
and it's
didn't know
huge
that.
because the
Okay.
county, yeah, and it's the reason why people are getting excited about it is because at first it was Oakland, who, like you said, are pretty incompetent with sports. They need help. They need a lot of help. And Alameda County, there's like 10 cities in it. So it's like it goes from this scale to this, and it's getting national attention. John Boy Media tweeted about it. All these people it's national attention. And I think I'm glad also you brought up the point that before the meeting, you thought it wasn't going to happen. And me personally, I was completely on the other side of the spectrum. I've made like 15 videos now on my thoughts on the situation. It used to be week by week. It's changed since then about the situation. It used to be, I was pessimistic, and then slowly it got research. And the reason why is because of this. Rob Manfred, although I don't like the guy, he's pretty intelligent. He knows how to make money, and although MLB is kind of failing right now with like attendance is low as it's been in a long time, TV ratings are low. He is sometimes smart with like stadiums and stuff. And what he wants to happen in his perfect, he hasn't publicly said this, but actually he has said he wants expansion in Vegas. He basically wants there to be a new stadium in Oakland and an expansion franchise in Las Vegas. Why does he want this? Oakland is a huge market for TV because we're the Bay Area. There's 7 million people in the Bay Area. And yeah, we're sharing that with the Giants, so that's still, that's millions of people watching A's games, hypothetically, if they have a nice stadium. Now, if he moves them to Vegas, you lose that market, and you get Vegas, which might not succeed. If you expand in Vegas, you have 2 markets instead of 1. So it's like, it's a win-win-win if you think about it, if the A's stay in Oakland, because you get probably an expansion team in Vegas, you get more money for MLB, and you get more money for Oakland. So, yeah, back to like the city. I mean, they're very incompetent. Like you said, they don't care about sports, and part of that is the fact that they just don't want to pledge public money, which I guess that's a whole different debate, whether or not like it's justified to pledge public money, like being forced to or whatever. That's a whole different discussion. Raiders left, Warriors left. That's the bottom line. And us fans are not happy. We want to keep our team here. Like you said, we're very much a sports city that cares about our teams, albeit a lot of them haven't been successful over the years, but we still rally with our team and our teams. And I think this stadium has so much potential for the city. And I think, it's definitely changed. Like you said before, knowing this, you thought they were going to leave. And a lot of people thought this. There's been a lot of ignorance with this because the news media does not like this project. They think it's, bad and whatnot. And I think, the fact that it's gaining momentum is great. So, yeah. Do you have like any other questions or anything? I can like totally cover those.
So, what is the current situation with the funding? Like, who's saying they're going to fund it?
It's 100% privately funded, which is, yeah, and it's a $12 billion project, which is crazy to hear. Like, I thought that was a mistake at first. $12 billion, like with a B, like that's a crazy number. Now, the stadium I think is only about $1.5 billion. Now, around the stadium, they're basically creating hotels, restaurants.
I can see that here in the rendering. Like, it's just skyscrapers, pretty much, all lined up next to each other.
Yeah, and basically, like, okay, I'm not going to go ahead and say the A's are copying the Giants, but I think they're kind of, I mean, if you're in the Bay Area, you got to use the waterfront to your advantage. They're going to be kind of similar to the Giants. Like, around the Giants, I believe the area, I forget what it's called, but there's, like, restaurants, there's hotels. Like, I just went there for Chase Center, like, last week. It's a beautiful area, and the A's are kind of trying to do what the Giants are doing with completely changing the way an area can be with a stadium. A stadium opens up so much opportunity. I mean, you have, transit that can be built there. You have restaurants, hotels. People are just going to come to see the stadium if it's beautiful, like the stadium is going to be. And I mean, yeah, it's not 100% confirmed yet, and I think that's what people are still skeptical about. But no stadium's 100% done. The Giants were going to move to Tampa. It was approved, and then it fell through. Stuff can, even if it seems like it's 100% like going to happen, like people saying the A's were going to move to Vegas things can always change last minute, and that's why I'm still slightly like conservative with the thought that the A's might move to Vegas. That's always in the back of my mind, and I'm conservative thinking about like if they're going to stay or not. But I also think it's looking very good right now, and if we can just get these final roadblocks out of the way, which is like the environmental approval and stuff, which is going to pass probably, getting that shovel in the ground, I think we're a stadium pretty sooner rather than later.
Yeah, until shovels are in the ground, nothing's really confirmed.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's been an issue with Oakland Stadium. Made a video different renderings over the year that didn't. Over the year, haven't they were failures, and all of them kind of points, maybe not quite as close as this, but they're just the shovel never gets in the ground, and that's an issue with all where the idea is there, the renderings are beautiful, and it never happens. But I think this stadium's different because I think this.
No, we're losing you.
People just don't like.
So I'm gonna have you
stadium sometimes. I don't really understand it
because you just cut out for a good portion there, like 10 seconds. So I don't really know what the connection is there. So if you want to rewind a little bit.
Yeah, all I was basically saying is like there are oppositions to the stadium, like most stadiums are. Like even when the Raiders were thinking about moving to Las Vegas, like there was people against it. Like there are people that just don't want new stadiums for whatever reason.
Right.
And I think that doesn't. But I think like the pros are outweighing the cons. I think the A's stadium is definitely now a very real possibility in Oakland, and also like talking about Las Vegas. Like I don't really understand how Las Vegas had so much momentum. Like. Because everyone's like, oh, the A's are moving to Las Vegas. But, like, until like you actually see renderings for a stadium, you can't really get excited about said location. Like there was never a Las Vegas rendering for the A's. The governor literally 2 days ago came out and said like, we don't know if they want to come. It's like he was very skeptical about it. And the governor of Nevada, and the mayor of Las Vegas said the same thing. They both basically said there was never a decisive decision on where it was going to be. And for that reason, it just Las Vegas is probably not going to happen now unless there's some crazy thing. And also, like a crazy thing that like happened was when the Raiders moved to Las Vegas, there was $750 million in tax money that was used towards Allegiant Stadium that Las Vegas paid, and they're having a lot of trouble getting that money back generated by the stadium because we literally had a year of a pandemic that prevented people from going to the stadium, and the stadium was going to generate tax revenue to pay it back. It was kind of like a loan type thing. I don't know all the logistics of it, but it's Las Vegas sports, it's kind of hit or miss. It's a very tourist city. I think the Raiders are doing good because like 85% of Raider fans are in California. So yeah, but that's pretty much where it is right now.
So no other comment, no other nothing else to mention there.
Well, I guess I could go back a little bit, like kind of the history of this proposal. Like this stadium rendering has been around for like 4 years now.
I have a quick question of this rendering here, yeah. the Howard Terminal rendering here. I'm just 12 billion seems insane to me. The Rays Ebor project was supposed to be 1 billion, just over 1 billion, and that was insane. We knew that wasn't gonna be paid. So you add another 11 billion, like you said with the B, that just seems like ridiculous to me. And the like these skyscrapers here in the renderings, like just these hotels one after the other. I mean, do you actually see that portion of this project actually happening? Because it just seems so ridiculous.
100%. I think, what the A's are mapping out is definitely going to happen because they have to basically stay to their word with a lot of the legalities going on. And I think a reason why this is so expensive, like a lot of people are asking like, oh, well, the Braves new stadium was like only like, this amount. It was a lot less. The reason why it's so expensive is, one, California is very expensive to build on because the land is very valuable and the weather's good. People like building in California because it's a hot commodity. Another reason is you're building on the port of Oakland, which is like a travel destination for ships and cargo. And, I guess, it's just a very valuable place to build. And so a lot of this, I mean, if you're building the same thing in like a different state, it might cost maybe a third of what it's costing the A's. And I think everything they're saying they're going to build, they pretty much are obligated to build because Oakland is kind of putting them up against the wall and saying, you have to build this and this and this. And there's certain laws in California that are for these types of projects. Like you have to build affordable housing, which has been a big problem for the A's. Like that's one reason that people were thinking they were going to move to Vegas, because the big issue was Oakland was saying we need these, X amount of affordable housing units. And the A's were not really wanting to build it. Now they're kind of reaching a consensus, we think, but it's still up in the air. And I think the negotiations are kind of coming to a close. But that's kind of the reason why it's so expensive. But I think the skyscrapers, everything you see in the renderings, it's going to get built for sure. I mean, I don't think that like you can really put 12 billion into it, no matter how expensive the land is, and not fully commit to the area around it.
Okay. Yeah, it just to me, it just seems like a crazy project. I mean, 12 billion is the difference between 1 million and 1 billion is ridiculous. 12 billion is just insane to me.
Yeah, and another thing is, like, one reason why I kind of always knew in the back of my mind they weren't going to move is like, if they're willing to put all this effort into making these renderings and pledging this money towards the stadium, 12 billion, like why would they abandon that and move to Vegas, a city that they're probably going to have to pay more for in terms of like, in the grand scheme of things. Sure, a stadium in Vegas is definitely not going to cost $12 billion. It might cost more around one, maybe even less than $1 billion if we're, thinking about how small a stadium could be. But they've committed to Oakland, and it might not seem like that. Like you've seen how bad the A's ownership is. The A's and Rays ownership is kind of similar. It's like very corrupt and has a lot of issues. But the A's are kind of secretly very committed to Oakland, and it might not seem like it because their ownership is bad, but they're they are. I mean, they're putting all these. They're literally lawsuits against other oppositions, and like they wouldn't be that fully committed and putting money towards it if they weren't going to stay. Now, obviously, we've said before, stuff falls through. I mean, the Raiders. A lot of people were saying they were going to stay in Oakland, but I think really quick, I'll just talk about like the difference between the A's and the Raiders because a lot of people saying, well, the Raiders moved to Vegas, why not the A's? Okay, it's completely different. First of all, the Raiders pretty much publicly said we're going to move. Like that was like in 2015 or something. They're like, we're finding a new home, and like they basically implied that it wasn't going to be in Oakland because Oakland just like they couldn't find an area. Now the A's, they have talked about moving in the past, but it's never really gotten as far as the Raiders has. And another issue with the Raiders is they were literally offered, like I mentioned before, close to $1 billion, three-quarters of a billion, $750 million for free practically. They also got a loan from Bank of America to basically move to Las Vegas. And the A's are getting none of that because the Raiders are obviously, as you know, a very big brand. And I think Las Vegas kind of saw that and capitalized on it. Now, the A's are not a big brand. You're never going to meet A's fans really outside of California, at least in big amounts, right? Like there's no A's fans in Wyoming. And that's probably not going to change
There's
anytime
no
soon.
sports fans in Wyoming. There's nobody who even lives in Wyoming.
That's a good point. But like pretty much the A's are Oakland and like nowhere else. And I think if you build a stadium that might change, but I think, the Raiders definitely had a different situation. And I think the A's like there weren't even really Oakland Raiders stadium renderings. There were a couple of them, but they never really reached like the breaking point of actually being built. It was mostly like, yeah, the Raiders could stay in Oakland, but they're looking at Los Angeles, they're looking at San Antonio, they're looking at Las Vegas. For the A's, it's like either Vegas or Oakland, but Vegas is being used as bait, in my opinion, for Rob Manfred to lure a billionaire into investing. Because if the A's go to Vegas and say, oh, it's great, their stadium sites, it's beautiful, maybe a billionaire who wants to start a team will say, okay, the A's are making it sound good. The A's know what they're doing. So I'll put my money into this city and build a new stadium, which will ultimately make more money for Manfred. I don't think Manfred has come out and said like, yeah, I don't know if the A's can stay in Oakland, but secretly he wants them to because he's going to be making a lot more money if they stay in Oakland because Oakland might be a small market team on the field, but in terms of the money they make, the A's are very profitable, very, very profitable. And a lot of that is due to the fact that they don't spend money on the team. And, the money they make on attendance and merchandise and tickets is outweighing the payroll, right? Because if you look at a team like the Dodgers, their payroll is, 300 million. The A's have an $80 million payroll, which is pocket change to the ownership, right? The A's have one of the richest owners in all of MLB, and yet they can't commit to really building a World Series team or heck even a playoff team. So they're very profitable. That's kind of the point I'm making. And so, for them to leave Oakland, it's just going to completely change that, and it would not be really good for the team or the league in any matter.
I want to touch up on your comment about why go through the effort of rendering if you're not serious about it, right? I thought the same thing 3 years ago. 2018, they released those Ybor City renderings. I thought to myself the exact same thing. Oh, they're serious about it. They went through the trouble of making these renderings. And then they weren't all of a sudden. And this isn't the only time they've had renderings. They've had renderings several times be made for future stadiums, and it just falls through. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever watched Ted Lasso, but like one of the popular phrases in that show is "It's the hope that kills you." And I know it's kind of a pessimist thing, but at the same time, it can be true. And that's all I want to say for that. Another thing is, if the A's moved to Vegas, which doesn't seem very likely, but if just say we're in a world where the A's did move to Vegas, right? Manfred has said he wants to expand to 32. And with the NHL recently expanding to 32, at Major League Baseball, they're on the clock. They're due. They're up. Manfred said we want to expand, but not until the Rays and A's figure out their situations. If the Rays and A's, let me just use the A's for example. Say the A's move to Vegas, then where the hell would you expand? There's no better market options than Oakland. So really, in my head, there's no way for me that you're not going to be making more money if you just stay in Oakland, right? Like, I just to me
Yeah,
to me it
exactly.
seems like if you stay in Oakland and then expand to Vegas, that would be good for both sides. Because say the opposite
Well,
happens. Say the A's relocated to Vegas, and then Major League Baseball decides, oh, what the hell, let's put an expansion team in Oakland. Well, the fans aren't going to appreciate the fact that they're supporting a new team, new ownership, new players, new name. And maybe Vegas doesn't appreciate the name Athletics because it has its own history in other cities. It would just be a mess. And so it would make sense financially to keep the A's in Oakland and then expand to Vegas. Plus, if you relocate the A's to Vegas, then again, where the hell else are you going to expand?
yeah,
Like where are you going to go? San Antonio? They don't want that because most people there are either Astros or Rangers fans. They already have a
exactly.
market over there, and it's the same thing with Nashville. Major League Baseball has already said we're not going to put a team in Nashville, and the same goes for Charlotte because there's too many close teams in that area. They don't want to break up the fan base. They don't want to divide it up. They think it'll be bad for revenue. So if you move the A's, where the hell are you gonna where the hell are you gonna expand? Right? Where are you gonna go?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think also one point you kind of brought up is like the two team in one market kind of issue. And I think a lot of people are quick to say, oh, well, you have the Giants in San Francisco, 10 miles away from Oakland. Why do the A's need to stay? Now, it was the same thing for the Raiders that I was arguing. The Bay Area is one of the biggest economies, not just in the U.S., in the world. They deserve two teams. If L.A. deserves two teams, I mean, L.A. has like 3 million more people than the Bay Area, which really in the grand scheme of things isn't that much because the Bay Area is just such a big market. It's very densely populated. People like sports here, and it deserves nice world-class stadiums. The reason why the Giants outdraw the A's, out popular, have more really popularity than the A's is because one, they won 3 World Series in like the last decade. Two, they got a beautiful stadium, and three, they've just been better at marketing and signing players in the last 15, 20 years. Barry Bonds,
Right.
Buster Posey, these guys are legacy names. And it's so the A's haven't really had that in the last 2 decades. Moneyball has been their strategy, and they play at the worst stadium in America. So getting that new stadium is going to turn the Giants, the Giants are here, the A's are here. It's going to get more even. I think the Giants fans are pretty loyal to their team, but I think A's fans are too. And I think the issue is people see the Coliseum as a non-desirable stadium. So really thus they lead to not wanting to go to games. Giants fans will go to games for the stadium and the team, but they don't, they like the stadium a lot. That's just kind of how it is. And I think the A's getting that will even it out. The A's don't have fans, which clearly isn't true because they're very profitable. Their profit margin is very high because of fans. Fans are the reason why the A's exist. They have good merchandise. Their attendance is bad, but they're like I said earlier, they're able to make more money on attendance than they are spending on the payroll. So it's like a profit for John Fisher, our owner, who is a terrible owner. He's terrible, and he doesn't care about winning. We had a movie about how bad the A's ownership is. That's how far it's gotten them. Moneyball's all it's people say it's a drama story, it's a happy story about the underdog. No, it's not about that. It's not about the underdog story. It's about how bad the A's ownership is. That's really
Right.
how it is. So yeah. I liked your point though about you know, how it works out for both sides because like NBA even said they want to expand 2 more at least, probably like Seattle and Vegas, or we don't know exactly where it's going to be. But I completely agree with you. I think building in Oakland is just the way it has to be because although Oakland, like you said, it's been really tough with sports here, and I think a lot of that's because of they just don't want sports. But I think the A's are a team that are committed to the city, unlike the Raiders, unlike the Warriors, because the Warriors, saw San Francisco more profitable. You can build on the water, and the Raiders saw $750 million for free. Their eyes turn to money signs, and the A's are getting none of that. The A's don't have San Francisco to move to. They have Vegas as an option, but Vegas isn't pledging money. And their governor, you can go find on Twitter. I think I've showed you this. He literally said, we've been hurt by the fact that the Raiders are, here now, and they've spent a lot of our money. And I think the A's, they're just not going to get free handouts like the Raiders did.
Right.
They're Oakland or bust, really. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
And back to what you said, the market of the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, right? Like that entire area is so dramatically huge. Two
Yeah.
teams in Chicago, both successful. Two teams in LA, both successful. Two teams in New York, both successful. Oakland and Giants, they've been successful. So build the A's a new stadium, they'll be even more successful than they already are. I mean, because I don't know how
Yeah.
many people every year, and attendance is a league wide issue because every year it's just becoming more and more convenient just to watch it from
Yeah.
home, right? A day at the ballpark, it can be a big inconvenience. And there's a lot of people, I imagine, like Tropicana Field, same with Oakland, they just don't want to go to the stadium because it's a shithole. Like, I mean, maybe that's a bit too far, but like, maybe it's just because, it's not a good stadium. And so maybe people are just like, I don't really want to go. It's in a bad area. I'm walking through the parking lot and it smells like fucking weed. I'm going on the BART train and I hear gunshots off in the distance, right? Maybe it's just not a safe game day experience. So, like, I don't know. Those are genuine experiences I had when I went to the Coliseum, by the way.
Well, another thing is you brought up a good point, like the inconvenience part of it, and like I guess the fact that Oakland Coliseum, it's not too desirable, as we both know. The thing is, the Bay Area, although it's big three main cities are San Jose, SF, and Oakland, there's suburbs of more wealthier people that want instead of going to a team that's maybe better, because like okay, past 3 years, 4 years, the A's have actually been better than the Giants on the field. But the attendance of the Giants is still higher. And you might be asking, well, why is that? Don't you want to see a better team play? People from suburbs that are more, wealthier or, just like go to a stadium based on the, like how nice it is. They don't want to go. They're willing to drive 10 extra miles or 25 extra minutes to see Oracle Park because they're like, okay, I can get a better game day experience there for 25 more minutes and, 30 more bucks. And going to Oakland, like you said, it's actually very convenient to get to. But I mean, you have to witness a bad stadium. It's in a bad area for crime and whatnot, and just overall game day experience isn't very good. I guess Raiders is different because it's like everyone went to the Raiders games for the tailgates and whatnot. But the A's don't. I mean, I went to a lot of A's games this year. It's just like there's not the same aspect as the Raiders and the people tailgating, and really the people that show up to the A's on a daily basis or weekly basis, like me or a couple times a month, we're loyal, and you can tell who's loyal and who's not. But when you go to the Giants, it's like, a lot of people you can kind of tell aren't really paying attention. And that's no disrespect to Giants fans, but I think like a lot of people there kind of go for the stadium. They don't go to watch the team. A's, it's like you go to watch the team or you don't go, period. You watch from home. And so I think if the A's get a new stadium that's equally or even nicer, in the same range as the Giants stadium, you're going to get people that don't necessarily even watch baseball, but get corporate tickets from their work. They get box seats. They want to, experience the nice stadium. And like $12 billion project, it's going to make the area around it nice. Because, I mean, I've been to where Howard Terminal is. It's basically in this area, Jack London Square. Right now, the area around there isn't horrible, but it's not great.
It's
and
not
basically,
like
like where the stadium, like where the stadium is going to be built, right now it's just parked trucks and like cargo boxes. So basically there's nothing being used, and like that's what the A's are bringing that point up. Like people that are opposed to the stadium are saying like, oh, you're wasting valuable land on a huge stadium. And it's like, what is this land being used for now? Nothing. Trucks. And it's a toxic waste zone, really. There's a lot of bad stuff with the environment there. Like, I mean, you can't mix, the combination of like unsanitary, workings down there and like truck park there and whatnot. Like, it's just bad. Like you're not even really allowed to like go close to where Howard Terminal is right now because it's just like it's like off limits. But the area around it is like has a lot of potential. It's seeking a lot of potential, and the A's are seeing that as like a very good business opportunity. And another thing I was going to bring up about, because obviously like our owners for both our respective teams are pretty bad. Like there's rumors, and I've heard this from I talked to someone who's involved with the stadium for a long time about this. Like there's heavy speculation that he's going to sell the team after they get a new stadium, because once you build a new stadium, like if let's say the A's are worth like $1 billion now, like they're going to be worth so much more money when they get this new stadium. Because look at the Giants, their value went up a lot. The Warriors' value went up a lot with their new stadium. Like that's just some close to me. The Niners, Levi Stadium, they went up
Oh, we're cutting out again.
Oh shoot.
About
Yeah.
7 seconds past.
Yeah. Anyways, like the point I was making is like getting a new stadium will take your value from here to
Right.
here,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and so John Fisher is a money loving guy. I mean, clearly. So him selling the team will make him a lot of money after the stadium is built. That's what I was talking
Maximizes
about.
profits.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's best case scenario. We have a new stadium. And we hopefully get an owner that's wants to care about the team
Yeah.
and put money into it. Just imagine like the A's, World Series first year at Howard Terminal. That's like my dream scenario.
Yeah.
And being able to count down the final days at the Coliseum, like 10 games left here. Howard Terminal, it's like the ribbon cutting. It's just I have all these like fantasies about how nice it's going to be and like, you know, how it's going to cultivate really the A's culture. And like, we don't, it's funny because like in the East Bay, which is where the A's are, there's Giants team stores and there aren't A's ones. And I'm thinking when the A's get Cardinal, you can bet that there's going to be A's team stores around. There's going to be billboards for them. There's going to be A's sports bars, because a lot of it is Giants, even in A's territory. Because like I kind of have like a visual representation in my mind of like where Giants territory is, where A's, where's Raiders, where's Niners, because it's based on socioeconomic area, and how nice the area is. It's like it depends a lot of it, and there's like lists and lists of like where A's territory is, and like in A's territory, there's Giants. It's depressing, and I think once Howard Terminal gets built and hopefully a new owner takes on the team, it's going to change for sure. And yeah, that's like really a lot there is to it. I think it's just really maximizing the profit for Fisher. He's going to sell the team, and hopefully the A's can really build off this. But I'm crossing my fingers on the stadium. I mean, I wish it wasn't getting built so far. When it does get built, like so far in the, because I feel like they keep pushing it back. Like this stadium was expected to be built in 2023 when the renderings were built or were made, and like that's like 1.5. That's like basically a year from now. So like that's obviously not going to happen in time, but we're going to see. And I'm crossing my fingers. I've been doing research every day, and a lot of people, don't know about the situation, and a lot of people still think they're going to move to Vegas, which isn't the case. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it.
Well, it's good that we have you here because you clearly have done a lot of extensive research on the situation. You know what the hell you're talking about, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
My final question for you is: when the inevitable day comes that the current Coliseum is demolished, are you going to be sad with all the memories you've made there and everything?
Yeah, it's going to be bittersweet for sure. I think that's a stadium that's been there over 60 years, and by the time it gets built, probably or it gets demolished, close to 70 years. And I mean, yeah, I'll definitely be sad for sure. It's gonna be definitely bittersweet because sweet in the sense that the A's will be past, and very bitter in the sense that the legacy of it, although it was pretty trashy stadium, it held a lot of memories, a lot of good moments, bad moments. I hope that day doesn't really come soon. I want the A's to get that new stadium, but I also, you know, I'm going to be sad about it. But I've heard rumors that, the A's actually own half. The Coliseum site is essentially a parking lot, and the A's own half of that. God knows why. No one knows why they own half of it because they don't want to build there. So there's speculation that they're going to like keep it and like kind of turn it into like a public park or something, which could be kind of cool. So maybe turn it into a museum or something. I don't know. That would be best case scenario. Like, preserving the Coliseum, keeping it as like a museum for Oakland sports, or Oakland Sports Hall of Fame or something would be cool. That's definitely far down the road, but I really will be sad in that sense.
Well, all right. That was a lot to unpack for me. A lot of stuff I didn't know that I now do know, and I thank you for sharing that. Not only with the people watching the video, but me as well, because I consider myself one of the viewers because I'm pretty uneducated when it comes to the A's situation.
Yeah.
That's about it. So I guess if you have nothing else to talk about, we can move over to the Tampa Bay side of things, the other Bay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's get into that.
All right, let's switch the scene here. Oh yeah, here we go. Now we got the Rays up on the screen. Okay, so where to even start with this? It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's been never ending forever. I mean, the first renderings, the first time that a relocation was ever talked about, I believe, was in 2007 or 2008 when the Rays brought up the idea of moving the team a mile down the road to the waterfront of Al Lang Stadium, converting the current rowdy soccer stadium into a ballpark. And just be glad that didn't happen, because that was a shit idea. And yeah, but that was the first time the Rays ever talked about relocating. And even that was only a mile down the road. So, not a big deal. Then you have rumors of the Carrollwood. I don't think that was ever anything serious. I think that was just them playing around with renderings. Oh, what if scenarios. That was never for real, for real. And that would have been in St. Petersburg too. So, like, that would have been terrible. And then it really started to... The shit got real in 2018 when the Ybor City stuff came out. These ideas, these renderings. They had press conferences, for God's sake, talking about the future of the Rays and them being in Ybor City. And then one whopping year after that, they talk about, oh, yeah, to hell with that idea we just got your hopes up about a year ago. Yeah, we're going to split the team now. Between Montreal and Tampa, because, well, it's a good idea, clearly, having the same team share, having two cities share a team, two cities that are over 1,000 miles apart, two cities that are in two different countries. By that logic, why not just, build them a stadium over in London or Mexico City, right? Like, why not? Those are pretty big markets. I don't know. Montreal is a city that had a downtown stadium. Montreal is a city that had a baseball team at that downtown stadium, a Major League Baseball team for several years. I don't know how many to be specific. I think it was at least 20. They had them for a long time, and they consistently finished with the worst attendance in the league. The attendance average was worse than the Rays' current yearly average attendance, and that's saying something. With, we talked about the geographical, like, area, like, just how many people live over in the Bay Area, right? It's the same thing for Tampa. I believe Tampa is, or the Tampa Bay area, we're talking Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, and the suburbs surrounding. It's one of the biggest markets in the country. And if Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred are serious about just ditching the team, putting them somewhere else in a smaller market, it would be really stupid. It would be really stupid. But the problem the Rays have is sometimes it's the past of someone else that fucks you over. That's right. I'm talking about the Miami Marlins, who had this same situation about 10 years ago. What happened is they convinced the city of Miami, they convinced Major League Baseball that, well, we'd be a lot more successful if we built a newer, nicer, retractable roof stadium. And they bit it. I mean, they totally bit the bullet. They went for it. They build this ridiculous stadium, and people still aren't showing up. And because of that, and mind you, that's like right next to downtown Miami. So that's a really prime location what the Marlins have there. Brand new nice stadium. It's a really nice stadium. What that does for Major League Baseball is that tells them, whoa. Tampa is also a city in Florida. It didn't work for the Marlins who are in Florida, so why is it going to work for the Rays that are in Florida? Well, let me tell you the truth. The truth is, the sports fan base in Tampa for baseball is a lot better. The Rays fan base is a lot better than the Marlins fan base. I can promise you that. And it would really show if there was a stadium built in Tampa. So yeah, I mean the current state. Title of this video: the current state of Tampa is currently the sister city bullshit. We all know it's what the Rays currently want to do. They want to split the team in Montreal half the season and then Tampa the other half of the season. Then I'm hearing talks about, oh well, it would be every other season. So one season they'd be in Tampa, then the next season they'd be in Montreal. It's like, Plus, you just expect me to watch every Montreal game on my TV. Like, what?
Yeah,
That doesn't make any
yeah,
sense at all. And it's a
yeah,
stupid idea because there are, I'd say the vast majority of Rays fans in Tampa, they would stop supporting the Rays if they only had half a team. I'm not so sure I'd be one of those people. I'm very on and off. Some days I'll be like, yeah, I'd still support them. And then other days I think, no, I'd probably switch teams. It's either a full team or
yeah,
nothing. And
yeah,
the vast majority, I'm telling you, it's a stupid idea. It's a very stupid idea. And the more I think about it deeply, the more I just do my research on it, the more I start to believe this is all just one gigantic bluff from Stu Sternberg. Like, this is just one giant attempt to scare Tampa into getting them to build him a new stadium. It's a possibility. I think it's a possibility. We talk about the other markets in the country for baseball teams. There's no way that Tampa isn't one of your best three options, right? Like, where else are you going to go? It's not going to be Nashville. It's not going to be Charlotte. You're going to go to Montreal, a city that's already failed with a Major League Baseball team. You're going to go to Vegas. Okay, that still leaves you with two more markets that you need to fill up for expansion. So where else are you going to go? There's nowhere else to go, right? So it would be ridiculous to not put the Rays in Tampa.
yeah, yeah. And I think real quick, I'll kind of give what my like outside view was as someone.
Let's get that.
Yeah, as someone in the other bay, across in California, I hear about this on and off. I mean, I don't think it's getting the biggest attention, but I am hearing Montreal as being talked about a lot, probably a lot more than it should be. And I think your owner is delusional. I think he's pretty. I think he's pretty. I mean, he was thinking about advertising this stupid plan to the home fans during the playoffs. Like, who does
The
that? I
backlash
mean,
was so intense that they scrapped the idea. But the Rays don't have
exactly.
fans. I'm sorry, but the Rays don't have fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that
Okay.
pretty much. Yeah, that was a good point. And I think basically what I thought coming into this and kind of just doing my research here and there, I haven't done too much, but I've seen some stuff. And based on what you like, obviously Tampa is a great sports city. The past couple of years, it's been, I mean, really 2020 was amazing, and Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl, Lightning back-to-back cups, Rays, go to their second World Series appearance, and all during a pandemic season, which really proves like the adversity they face and whatnot. The soccer team getting, a lot of praise and whatnot. So I think Tampa is definitely a very, very big hot commodity for teams. And I think all these teams doing well, there's no way you can take one out in the midst of it. I think, I mean, to be quite honest with you, like kind of like how you felt with like the Oakland situation, I kind of do think they might move. I mean, I just like that's what I'm hearing. I'm very much hoping you guys stay. I don't think Montreal is ready for baseball again. It's been, about 15 years since the Expos left, and like you said, their attendance was god awful. And I mean, I don't think, I like you said, what if Montreal doesn't really approve of the Rays brand or doesn't
Mm-hmm.
like it? You got to remember, this is a whole different country with whole different values and whole different expectations and standards. What if they don't want baseball? It's like there haven't been, from my understanding, like logical research into this idea. And I think just the worst part of it, total asinine thing, is like you said, the sister city thing is just god awful. It's terrible. I think there's no way that's going to work. I mean, it seems like a publicity stunt to me, and I think also like it kind of like the point you made, like probably a bluff, but how far does a bluff go before it's real? That's what we're talking about. And I think from what I'm hearing, Stu Sternberg, if he has his way, he will get two stadiums, one in Tampa, one in Montreal, which I think is really dumb because, if you're having trouble building one, what makes you think you're going to get two?
Exactly.
And I think it's stupid. Yeah. So
He's
that's kind of my understanding on it.
he's had
Yeah.
3 failures of relocating now. How's he
Yeah.
suddenly going to get 2? Okay? And
Yeah.
another thing is, I am confident when I say this. It is more likely that the Rays move to Montreal full time than this current sister city bullshit they're promoting. That's
Yeah.
much more likely. Because I was talking about, right, just then, how the vast majority of Tampa fans, they might not support the Rays anymore if that happens. It's going to be the same situation in Montreal. Not everybody's going to hop on that train if they're having to share a team.
Yeah.
Something interesting happened a couple weeks ago. What happened was there was suddenly a new billboard right outside of Tropicana Field on the freeway. And it said, "Dear Rays, we will not pay for a new stadium." And then it was signed by Montreal taxpayers. So what happened was a group of people in Montreal paid to put a billboard outside of Tropicana Field just to let the Rays ownership and to let Tampa know they're not going to pay for a new stadium. The taxpayers, they're not going to go for it. And so that was interesting to see. They went through with paying for this billboard. It was right next to Tropicana Field. It's saying something. It's saying something. I think what Stu wants is for Tampa to pay for entirely for a new stadium. He doesn't want a penny to come out of his pocket. With this Ybor Stadium, the city of Tampa, they offered to pay for half of it. That's a lot. They offered to pay for half of it, which is about 500, 600 million of it. And he said no. He wants them to go all out for it. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah. Seems like it. That just seems ridiculous. I mean, you're offered that money. This is not, this is $500 million we're talking. This is a crazy amount of money. And the fact that he's offered that and turning it down is just really proves he doesn't have the capabilities and skills to run a team. Mm-hmm. My question for you is, obviously, I think a decision on both of our situations is going to be probably made in the next year or so, because I think Manfred is that's why he's doing this. This is why Manfred's doing this, because he wants expansion, and he publicly said expansion really can't happen until Oakland and Tampa gets their act together.
Right.
So if I told you that in the next, 6 months, maybe midway through 2022, that a decision was going to be made, and using all the information and knowledge, obviously stuff will come up and more things on both sides will come up as well. But if I had to basically ask you now, what do you think is going to happen, down the road from now next year?
Well, there's stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about, and I was about to start talking about that. There's stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. I think there's a lot of, like I said, bluffing going on here. I think there's a lot of just this back and forth, never-ending game just going on between the Rays and Tampa. I think it's ridiculous. If I had to guess right now what's going to happen based on the information that is public, I'd almost have to say that logically it would make the most sense to just move the damn team to Tampa. But like I said, with the history of the Marlins, another Floridian team, seeing them have attendance failures with a brand new gorgeous stadium near downtown, it gives a bad look. But what people don't realize is that Tampa and Miami aren't the same city. They're 5 hours apart. It's a completely different market. Just because it's the same state, it doesn't matter. It's insane. So I think the logical sense is to just move the damn team to Tampa. It's either that or Montreal. There's none of this sister city stuff. It's not going to happen. The Players Association would have to approve of it. Players Association is not going to approve of having to buy 2 houses. Nobody's going to want to play for this team because it's more money they have to spend. Nobody's going to want to play for this team. And it's just ridiculous. It's not going to happen. Sister City, not going to happen. It's either Montreal or Tampa. And I think I'm leaning towards Tampa right now.
Yeah, well, I think definitely you're someone who knows a lot about this. And I think I'm really hoping that, this is correct. Because I just, I hate to see, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy team. I wouldn't wish that on the Chiefs. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It really hurts a fan base. It hurts a city. And I can speak from experience. I've lost 2 teams, and it's I think about it every day. It's I don't want that to happen on anyone. Mm-hmm. And so I think, my question is for you is that you talk about bluffing, and Oakland and, the A's have had bluffing. Do you think Tampa will give in to the bluff and put up $1 billion? Or do you think, or even half that again, Or do you think Stu is gonna, lose this war or game as you described it with Tampa and just not get that money and either move the team or just do something else?
I think it's going to get to a point where there's serious threat of them moving to Montreal full time and then Tampa. I mean, we see this all the time in sports. We see this all the time. You look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. They were this close to relocating to Kansas City because of the city of Pittsburgh, they weren't giving in. They weren't paying for a stadium. Very last second, the threat got real. And then Pittsburgh was like, okay, we'll build you a stadium. We see this in sports very often. And I think when you take into factor all the logical ideas, like it makes the most sense to put them in Tampa. It makes the most sense to put them in Tampa. And I think Tampa's got to realize that. And it would be good for the city, certainly. We've seen the success for the... Okay, let me just tell you what, right? Before COVID, the Lightning had sold out every single home game of theirs for about 5 years straight. There wasn't a game where they didn't sell out in that time period. And you just think the Rays won't be successful here? I mean, we're talking ice hockey in a hot-ass city. What the Lightning have done is incredible. They have put such a mark on the city of Tampa. And everybody here loves them. The fan base is huge. A lot of these people watch the Rays, too. It's not just the Lightning. A lot of these people also watch the Rays. And I feel like they'd get very similar support if they were also in Tampa.
Right.
I went to a Bucks game
also,
this year.
another...
What was that?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, another thing is, baseball right now for the whole league is down. It's just baseball is, it's trending downwards because basketball is getting more popular. Baseball has a problem. It's a problem for the whole league. It's not just Oakland and Tampa. It's other teams are experiencing this too. It's just the problem with Oakland and Tampa is they don't have the best ballparks. But continue what you're saying. Sorry.
I went to a Bucks game earlier this year. 70,000 people. Maybe not that, but a lot of fucking people. 60,000 people. Everywhere. All Bucks fans. That place was loud. Guess where that stadium is located? Tampa. It's in Tampa. It's amazing, the fan base, and I don't give a shit what people say about, Bucks fans are fair weather. They only go now because of Brady. Okay, yeah, they're so fair weather to where they're gonna go buy $150 ticket. They're gonna go spend $100 on concessions. They're gonna go spend a couple thousand on season tickets. They're gonna go spend another $100 on a jersey and other merchandise. Yeah, so fair weather, right? Every team is gonna lack attendance when you have a shit product. It's just the truth. Okay. Bucks get Brady, of course the values of the game goes up. Of course now they're Super Bowl contenders and people are like, I want to fucking go. It doesn't mean that they didn't support the team before. It's just that they had less of a desire to go because it was a shit team. There's better things to do on Sunday than go to watch a shit team. So yeah, Bucks get good. They sign Brady. They get good. They win a Super Bowl. Of course the demand is high now. It's not because fans are fair weather. Just now they have more of a desire to. And so you see the success of the Buccaneers. You see the success of the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially since 2020 when they have all these new championships. And you just think all these Bucks fans and all these Lightning fans just aren't Rays fans? Are you fucking kidding me? No. The vast majority of these people are also Rays fans. Okay? And it's not an under-exaggeration when I say it is the biggest bitch. It is literal hell to get to a Rays game, to cross that goddamn bridge, and to have to sit in traffic. I mean, traffic alone tacks on at least 30 minutes on weekdays. At least. That's your bare minimum. That's if you're lucky you sit in traffic for 30 minutes. Okay? You go on a Sunday afternoon game, better. 45 minutes. There you go. That's good. That's with no traffic. Playoffs. I drove from USF, University of South Florida, to the Trop on, I want to say it was a Thursday night for a playoff game. It took me an hour and 10 minutes to get there from the University of South Florida, which is located just north of Tampa. Just north of downtown Tampa. Come on. Come on. And it would increase, by being in Tampa, it would increase a lot. Like, the students that go to these games. Nobody's going to these, like, hardly anybody from college like, there's no colleges in St. Well, there's USF St. Pete, but it's small as hell. Hardly anybody goes there. You have University of Tampa. You have University of South Florida. You have other nearby universities. You'd be getting a lot more college students going to these games as well. Perhaps offer a college student deal like the Lightning do. You get a lot of people that go to these games. I'm going over all this in my head. There is no way the Rays wouldn't succeed in Tampa. To me, it's common knowledge. Okay. So basically, now let me transition into this, right? There have been rumors going on for about 2 or 3 days now. Don't know how true it is. I think back to Ted Lasso, It's the Hope That Kills You, and I've had hopes before with the Ebor site back in 2018. I've had hope before, and it ended up killing me, right? So I think back to that quote, and I hate being a pessimist. That's not who I am. But I kind of have to be naturally by the way that this has all unfolded in recent years with Stu Sternberg and just, we're going to threaten Montreal now and all this other shit, right? It's naturally, I have to be a pessimist about it because how am I supposed to get my hopes up when you've gotten our hopes up 3 times now and every single time it's not happened, okay? It's the hope that kills you. And so, like, I want to be hopeful about this rumor that has just come out. And I am praying to God that it is true because it's really believable. It is. And this is what that rumor is. And I've been hearing. There's a rumor right now going around. And it's going to be talked about tomorrow at the time of recording this, it's Sunday. This month, so tomorrow, it's going to be talked about on a podcast with some legit sources. So that's what I'm hearing. What's happening right now, the rumors are that the Seminole Tribe of Florida, a.k.a. the owners of Hard Rock, are talking to Stu Sternberg right now. And they're talking about, at the bare minimum, becoming majority owners of the Rays. They're talking about buying the Rays. That's the rumors coming through right now, and it's about to be talked about. And what they're saying is... what I'm hearing is that if it's true, Stu Sternberg will soon come out and say, hey, I'm dropping the Sister City bullshit. I'm teaming up with fucking Hard Rock now, and we're getting this shit done in Tampa. That's what I'm hearing. This is all so funny. I have to mention this. Very soon, sports gambling is about to be legalized in Florida, in the state of Florida. It's about to be legalized. With that, Hard Rock, you understand, they own lots of casinos in the state of Florida. With sports gambling about to be legalized, this is a perfect time for them to buy the Rays. It's the perfect time for them to start at least talking to Stu and just getting something done. They have the naming rights to the Dolphins Stadium, Hard Rock Stadium. They're for God's sake, they're headquartered in Florida, right? It's like the Rays are the perfect thing for them. Hard Rock is already involved in sports. Like I said, the Dolphins, Hard Rock Stadium, they're already involved in sports. They just don't own a team yet. This is the perfect time for them to get involved. And so, like I said, it's the hope that kills you. I don't want to get my hopes up because I've gotten my hopes up with this team before, and it's killed me. But these are rumors that are coming out. It's about to be talked about on a podcast. I think shit's about to start getting serious because at some point, we have to know the future of the Rays. Their lease with the city of St. Pete and the lease with Tropicana Field, it expires in 6 years, 2027. In 2027, they are allowed to go wherever the hell they want. You think we're just not going to know the future up until 20... No, it's not going to happen. We're going to know soon. We have to know soon. The owners have to know soon. These cities and these markets, they have to know soon. What is the future of the Rays? Because we're getting closer to that deadline, and we have to know soon. And everything is just so uncertain right now, but I have a very good feeling that soon we're gonna know. It might not be good, it might not be bad. We don't know, but we're gonna know what it is eventually.
Yeah, for sure. I just think that would be so huge. I mean, like, I talked about the A's getting possibly bought. I think this is big, just not just for a stadium, but like the fact that, the money ball system the Rays are under, and the fact that, getting bought by a huge, corporation will completely, crossing your fingers, change the morale of the team and just how they play. And I think that, like you said, people don't want to watch a team that isn't really exciting. And obviously the Rays are exciting. They make the playoffs
Oh,
very
absolutely.
consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the issue is, they don't win a World Series because of the Moneyball, system. And yeah, the A's, it's the exact same thing. And so I think, that would be huge. And also, I think I completely agree with your prediction that Sternberg would just drop that plan, because I think, honestly, he could.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the whole thing is a tactic. The whole
Yeah,
sister city thing is a tactic. They're not serious about it. There's no way they are.
yeah. I mean, they can't be. Like all the points you brought up before. Like, how are they going to? It's not logistically possible. Two different countries. It's just not going to work. I think maybe he's bluffing. He's maybe trying to suit an investor like Hard Rock that will be able to put a price. He'll be able to put a price on the Rays and eventually sell them. So I think you're definitely right. I mean, hearing about the sister city thing like a couple years ago, I thought to myself, like, there's no way this can happen. And then yeah, it gained momentum, but I'm not like you said, if Montreal doesn't want to pay for a stadium and Tampa is willing to pay for half of it, maybe not all of it yet, I think there's no way he can build a stadium on his own if he's not going to pledge money for it, or heck, two stadiums, one in Canada, one in Tampa. So I think really Hard Rock, if they're able to do this, this is your saving grace. Now I agree, it sounds like it's just a rumor. I haven't heard much about it, just from what you've told me.
Hardly anybody has heard about it. This is stuff I'm hearing in a group chat that is a movement. They have me added in it because they know I have a voice. They know I'm a YouTuber that covers the Rays. They know I'm educated on the topic. They know I'm all for moving the Rays to Tampa. So it's like it's one of those group chats that like it's all about this movement, and there's a lot of talk in it daily, and it's just the whole thing. It's a pretty big thing, and yeah, I mean they have over 1,000 followers move the Rays to Tampa.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They're legit, and yeah, and not to mention, let me just go ahead and show this real quick on camera. I wish it was better quality than just showing through my phone, but I'm gonna go ahead and show it anyway. This is a advertisement that was created, and I hear that it was actually aired on the television during one of the college football games this past weekend. So let me go ahead. Oh shit, it's connected to my headphones. Okay, whatever. Let me go ahead and just.
Season plan is a bad investment. Stu Sternberg's split-season plan is a bad investment for local taxpayers. Montreal is not our sister city. This is just a fraudulent scheme to pad Stu's pockets with local Tampa Bay area tax dollars. He is being sued by his partners for fraud. Is he a bad businessman or just a liar? All Stu cares about is convincing local politicians to approve his Montreal sister city plan. Call your local mayor, city council member, and county commissioner and tell them no to Stu's sister city plans.
I hear that's an actual ad that was aired during a college game. So you hear, yeah, he's being sued. He's being sued by the minority owners of the Rays. It's an actual thing.
Yeah.
And it's all just Stu's got a lot on his table. He's got a lot to go through. He's got a lot of shit.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing is it just becomes more of a mind fuck the more you talk about it, the more you hear it.
Yeah.
I wish it was more. Oh shit! I wish it was more, more clear or more like predictable, like the A's are right now. But the truth is that we are so far from knowing what's actually gonna happen right now. It's bad, but this is I think a good time for you to ask about this video to make it, because with this new Hard Rock stuff coming out, it's It's a good time to be talking about this. Not to mention, it's very believable because Hard Rock for the last couple of years has been putting advertisements at the drop. So it's
Yeah.
believable. They're already involved with the Rays. They're already advertising through the Rays. I mean, I'm just saying, it makes sense. It makes sense. Sports gambling is about to be legalized in the state of Florida. They own a shit ton of casinos in the state of Florida. I can definitely see the Rays piquing their interest. Like I said, they're already involved in plenty of sports, but they don't own a sports team.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah. My question for you is obviously, you and thousands of people are, definitely pushing for this. Kind of, very similar to the A situation. Like it doesn't might not seem like people are supporting the new stadium, but they are. Obviously, there are. How is the city reacting to this? Are they committed to keeping the Rays rooted in Tampa, or are they like, Stu, you're on your own?
so the mayor of Tampa, Jane Castor,
Yeah.
she is. I haven't been keeping up with her a whole lot, but the last I heard from her, she was pretty much saying, "I'm fine with the sister city thing," which is like, what? She said that though. She said, "Well, after talking with the Rays, I think this might be a good idea." I'm like, "What the fuck did Stu talk to you about?" Like what? What? It doesn't make any sense. So, the mayor of
Yeah.
Tampa is like saying that she's on board with splitting the team, but come on, but this could be one of those things. This could have been what happened. Stu could have convinced her that he is serious about this. It's either half a team or no team. It's your choice. Do you want a team or no team? And she probably took to account oh shit, he's serious. I believe that. Maybe he just got her to believe that, maybe she thinks maybe she really does think it's half or nothing. And so and she is a vocal supporter of our sports teams. She's always putting up these banners across Tampa for the Rays and the Lightning and the Bucks. She's constantly showing up to these sporting events and talking and having these press conferences about these teams. She's a vocal supporter of these teams. She loves sports. She loves sports in the area. She knows it's good for the city to have sports because it creates jobs and it's this whole thing. It generates money and it's a good thing to have, and they understand that. She understands that. And so I think that it's very possible that Stu Sternberg legitimately convinced her that it's half a team or no team, and that's why she is saying that she's on board with the Sister City plan. Because she's just convinced, simply put, that it's half or nothing.
Yeah, I mean that definitely seems like the common denominator of that is that you have one team or you have no or you have half a team or you have no team, and I mean I think it definitely would be better to have half a team, but I think like you said, the bluff definitely still could be in effect. They could
Absolutely.
end up. I think definitely the smarter thing for her would be to say no, we don't want you at all, or like not that no. It would be no, we are not putting up with this. We're you're either with us or you aren't with us. I think giving them an ultimatum, because I think Stu, based on what you're telling me and based on my personal research, is scared. I think he's scared that he's going to be a homeless
Well,
teen.
he's one of the poorest owners in Major League Baseball. Of course he's scared. Of course he's trying to
Yeah,
maximize his profits. He's a businessman.
yeah. So I think if Tampa can somehow scare him into staying, because there's definitely fan support here, and where Tampa is and the area around it, there's definitely renderings that very well could happen, and hopefully with this Hard Rock thing funding. So I think it's. I mean, if Montreal literally put a billboard, I didn't know about that. Like at first, I thought Montreal was actually accept. I mean, maybe they want the
Taxpayers
Rays, but
aren't.
yeah, taxpayers
There's an
aren't.
ownership group in Montreal that has been very close to Stu since the plan was announced. There's been a Montreal ownership group that wants the Rays, and Stu has invited them to Rays games before to talk throughout the games, and it's a serious ownership group. They want the Rays. They've been talking to Stu for a couple years now about the Sister City plan. And that is why it's being pushed so much, is because there's an actual group who will do what it takes to get them. Only problem is that, again, the taxpayers have already made their statement. They're not going to pay for it. You can put the Rays in any other city that doesn't have a Major League Baseball team in this country, right? Put them in San Antonio. Put them in Nashville. Put them in Charlotte. You won't get the support that Tampa will give you. Tampa is the best option for any city in this country right now for the Tampa Bay Rays, and it's not even close.
I agree.
It's not even close.
Yeah, I think well said. I mean, I think it's the same for the A's too. It's just like, unless a team is very much failing and struggling, and clearly the A's and Rays aren't, because the MLB itself is having a downfall. And that isn't because of, any specific team. It's just because the sport isn't very popular compared to where it was, say 20, 25 years ago. And I think as it is now. So I think, definitely the Rays belong there. And based on what I've seen, I really hope they stay. And I think it would just be the best thing for them. Just, seeing the rendering, seeing, the logistic. I mean, if it was Montreal or Tampa, like one or the other, like that would make a tiny bit more sense. But like the sister city plan, I think that advertisement you showed me made.
It's a ridiculous tactic.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous tactic.
It's like you have Tampa here and you have Montreal here. It's just like, how do you do that? It's like, like, I think you touched on this earlier, but like, let's say the Rays were to move full time. Like, what's your plan as a fan? Do you have any sort of like roadmap of like what would you do
if they were Montreal full time?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm switching to the Kansas City Royals after taking about a year, maybe 2-3 year break of being a fan of any team of baseball. Just because, like, I'd have to. It's not going to be one off season just to know everything about the Royals, or whatever. Get to know the roster, get to know their farm system, the coaches, the fucking players, and everything. Like, it's a lot to it's a big change. And so having my Kansas City roots, being a Chiefs fan, that's my option. I'd switch to the Royals, but it would take a year or two to get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I forgot to mention that when I was talking about the A's portion of it, so I think I'll maybe quickly just talk about it.
Yeah.
I know my viewers probably know that I kind of made it clear that I'd be a fan. Like, I'd just switch to the Niners and Giants, so it'd be, like, convenient. But I've since changed my mind. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that the A's are, like, probably not going to move to Vegas, so it's, like, more realistic. But I kind of – well, okay. So, like, before, like, when I said those things, like, I was going to switch to San Francisco, this was before, like, the Giants and Niners had, like, re-allowed fans full-time, really. And so, like, I didn't really experience – then I went to, like, a Niners and Giants game, like, pretty close to each other. And then I realized how, like, boring it is. Like, how boring it is to watch these teams. And I no disrespect to the teams, but it just didn't appeal to me. Not watching the Niners, it was boring. Watching the Giants, it was boring. And I thought, there's no way I can do this. And I also thought, I support the Raiders even though they're in Las Vegas now. Why not the A's? So I kind of come to a decisive thing that if the A's were to move to Las Vegas, I would still be an A's fan. And it sucks saying that. It's tough to really say that out loud, like the fact that I would switch with this team betraying the city. And I know I did that for the Raiders too, but I just kind of have this, and I completely understand where you're coming from. And you have, like, you're, like, definitely in a better position because you have, it sucks losing a team, but at least you have, like, the Kansas City roots. Like, for me, it's like, what do I do? Like, yeah, I have Bay Area roots, and it's like the Giants are there, but I don't want to do that, really. And it's like the financial, look behind me, like, it's the financial, the merchandise. It's not worth it, in my opinion, to switch because, I just couldn't. I wouldn't be able to do it. I thought about this for months and months, and it's been, the A's really, the relocation threat came out in May of 2021. So it's been like a solid 5 months of just like every day stuff being talked about progressively and slowly but surely progress is being made. But I kind of came to a point where I'm like, no, I'm sticking with the A's no matter what. And I think, like, for me, my philosophy, and it's different for everyone, it's like, I think, like, being, being a sports fan of a team is like kind of like a thing you're assigned to at birth. It's like you can't really change it. And that's my interpretation. It's different for everyone. But it's my opinion, and I think for me, I wouldn't be able to change that. But I completely understand you, because
Yeah.
it's like your owner clearly doesn't care about the fans, and ours, so doesn't the A's. But it's just like, I have so much of A's merchandise, and it's like I just fiscally I wouldn't be able to do it to switch.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah,
the last thing I'll say about the Rays here is the fact that if it weren't for the Miami Marlins and their history, I think without a doubt, Tampa would have a stadium by now. I think without a doubt, if we were in this situation without the Marlins being involved, I think that they would want Tampa. Everybody. Stu, Tampa. I think everybody would want Tampa. And the only thing that they're too scared to take the risk on is just simply because of Miami. It's
right.
it's you know what? Call me Aristotle, because sometimes it's other people's pasts that fuck you over. Some deep shit. And so I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions at all to those watching about either of these stadium sagas here, go ahead and ask, man. Go ahead and ask. I'll answer. Casey will answer. Like we're all fucking invested in this. And one thing
This,
I'll say, what was that?
sorry, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, this is my life now. Like, just
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it really is. It's sad, but it
yeah,
is. So now I'm gonna probably announce soon that I will be working on an extensive video of research and whatever needs to be involved to make it a well put together video about the Rays Stadium saga. I want to put something together. I'm trying to do something more than just turning on the record button on my iPhone and sitting in my room and talking about it. I mean, I'm talking like I want to make a video. I want to formulate a video where I have research done. I have factual evidence of the Rays having fans. I have factual evidence supporting the fact that the Rays would succeed in Tampa. I want to film at different locations around the Tampa Bay area. I want to basically put together, I guess in a sense, a documentary, but there's still a lot of things that have to be put together and put into place for that to happen. But just know that I've been working hard to get a start on it, because I want to do it. I want to be a voice in the community. And so hopefully within a couple months I'll have something out. And so that's kind of like just a mini announcement there. But if I actually do get shit done on it, which I'm confident that I will, there will be a more formal announcement to come.
sure. I would definitely watch that, and I think the amount of research. I mean, you told me so much information I didn't know, and I think that would be definitely something very cool. So for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the way I have it pictured in my head, if it works out the way it is in there, I mean, it'll be really good, and I'm excited for it. So with that being
Yeah,
said, yeah, I mean that's about it, right? For both sides, I think we've covered everything we need to cover. This is the current state of the Oakland Stadium saga and the Tampa Stadium saga. So with that being said, I'll leave you there. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is your boy ChiefsRaysBolts, joined alongside A'sRaidersDubsSharks. Link in the description to his channel, because he's pretty much exactly what my channel is, except for his teams. So I think you'd enjoy. If you don't support the teams that I support, but still watch me, then you definitely fucking need to watch Casey as well. So with that being said, I
likewise.
will catch you. What was
Yeah,
that?
likewise. I mean, like, for my
Likewise,
viewers, I
absolutely.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think definitely if you want good content for teams that you might not even support, go ahead and check them out. I mean, I'll put the link in my description of my video, and yeah, I think this was great. Just talking about it,
Absolutely.
getting it all out.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Letting you know
yeah,
our opinions, our thoughts on the situation. Just two genuine fans, two outsiders looking in who have done their research.
sure, 100%.
And so that's going to do it here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.